In modern society, policing stands as an institution that embodies authority, control, and often oppression. The existence and operation of the police force is a fundamental challenge to anarchist values of freedom and community and individual autonomy. We anarchists argue that the hierarchical and coercive nature of policing not only fails to address the root causes of social problems, but worsens them. In this critique, we will examine the role of the police through an anarchist lens and explore alternative approaches to community safety and conflict resolution. At the heart of the anarchist opposition to policing lies the concept of power and its uneven distribution within society. Traditional policing operates on the basis of hierarchical power structures where officers exercise authority over citizens. This power dynamic is inherently oppressive as it disempowers individuals and communities, relegating them to being passive subjects of state control. We anarchists argue that such centralised authority inevitably leads to abuses of power, including police brutality, racial profiling, the abuse of women and girls, and the facilitating of such abuse, and the suppression of dissent, for example. We anarchists also contend that the primary function of the police is to maintain the status quo and protect the interests of the ruling class. Rather than serving the needs of the community, law enforcement agencies often prioritise the protection of property and the preservation of social order to the advantage of the ruling class. This results in the criminalisation of poverty, homelessness, and dissent, while systemic issues such as inequality and injustice remain unaddressed. We anarchists advocate for the abolition of the police as part of a broader struggle for social liberation. Instead of relying on the coercive state apparatus, anarchists propose decentralised and community based forms of conflict resolution and harm reduction. This includes restorative justice practices, community mediation, and mutual aid networks. By empowering communities to address their own needs and resolve conflicts, preferably without recourse to overly punitive measures, we envision a society built on principles of cooperation, solidarity, freedom, and mutual aid. Critics of anarchism often argue that without a centralised authority to enforce laws, chaos and disorder would prevail. However, we anarchists contend that the absence of state control does not equate to chaos. Rather, we propose a reimagining of justice based on voluntary cooperation, consensus decision making, responsibility, and dealing with the underlying causes of crime as much as possible. In anarchist communities, norms and rules are established through horizontal dialogue and are subject to continual negotiation and revision. We anarchists also emphasise the importance of addressing the root causes of crime and social conflict through transformative justice approaches. This involves addressing structural inequalities, providing support for marginalised communities, and creating opportunities for healing and reconciliation. By addressing the underlying conditions that give rise to crime and violence, anarchists believe that communities can foster genuine safety and well-being for all citizens. The anarchist critique of policing highlights the inherent flaws and injustices of the capitalist system. By perpetuating hierarchical power structures and prioritising the interests of the ruling class, policing undermines principles of freedom, equality, and both community and individual autonomy. We anarchists propose the abolition of the police in favour of decentralised, community based alternatives that prioritise cooperation, autonomy, freedom, and mutual aid. Only through collective action and independent grassroots organising can we work towards a society free from the shackles of state oppression and coercion. Thank you for listening, everyone. All the best.